Hello, folks. I'm back. Let's get started with this whole C group and container awareness and C group V2 and stuff. So let me oops, I want actually this. Okay, can't really pull this off to the side. Anyways, so I was looking at Golang, Go programming language, the container awareness stuff. And by the way, I have the list of versions that we are currently using. So, for example, for our applications, we are using a lot of Java. So you can actually see there are so many Java, and some Python also. A lot of Java, and for all of it, we require the upgrade because we are currently using 1.8 almost every place where Java is being used, and then in some places it's 11, right? So you can actually see this is all 11, and then this is all 17. Great. So no upgrade required. There is some PHP also, but all that is fine. And then there's 1.8, lot of 1.8s, 1.8 to 72 we have, and then so we need 1.8 372, and there's also 11 point thing for which we need 11.160 instead of 11.0.10. So yeah, and also we use I think OpenJDK instead of any other distributions, and apparently OpenJDK the support is over, which is what I saw. OpenJDK, like I was shown this page by my colleague that one minute, Dr. President. Okay, so I was shown this page by my colleague, so I saw this thing where it said deprecation notice. This image is officially deprecated, and all users are recommended to find and use suitable replacements ASAP, as soon as possible. So some examples of other official image alternatives listed in alphabetical order with no intentional or implied preference. So of course Amazon corridor comes first because A, and then there is like Eclipse, IBM Java. So I think this is the one which is free. The others, Eclipse, Temur, and IBM. Let me see. I think this is also kind of free. Let me see. Is this free? It never says free over here, but this one clearly says it's a free thing, like no cost basically. Need to check it out. Maintained by Adoptium, which is this. So repo containing alphabets and views. Nowhere it says is there any support, and then there is IBM, of course. So and I think you can get paid support in case you partner with IBM, I guess. Let's see. This is Semaru, folk from Adoptium, right? Interestingly, they have not put their own thing. Anyways, this one clearly points to Eclipse Temurin. Funnily, this one also points to Eclipse Temurin. Anyways, so yeah, this and all points properly to this thing. And there's this IBM Runtime Technologies. So published image update serves a description. Okay. This is I think by SAP Labs. I'm not sure. SAP's build of OpenJDK. Yes, I think this is by SAP Labs. sapmachine.io, and Yeah, that is SAP Labs, Enterprise Resource Planning Software. So, yeah, fast, reliable, and open. So, SAP Machine is a distribution. So, we'll have to look at the different distributions. So my colleague was talking about Amazon Corretto, um, and looks like we're already using Amazon Corretto in many of the applications that were built by a company that we acquired. So now they're also part of our company. So they're just the same company now because we acquired them. And they apparently are also, my colleagues was there before. So they have apparently already started using Amazon Corridor. I think we need to have one standard and start using that so that it's easy to standardize as an infra team. It's easy to recommend also and to upgrade and stuff. So yeah, and we also have a lot of Node.js. So if you look at Node.js, we have a lot of 12.14 for which we have to move to 20.3 apparently. I need to check that out. That is true for even 15.this. And then PHP doesn't seem like we need any updates. So I think this is good. Just let me just scroll up and look at. So Python also nothing required, and newer Java versions great, not required. Node.js new versions okay. I think we will have to standardize and recommend people to use newer versions, latest versions of the runtimes. I'm just wondering what does it mean when they say container awareness. So clearly in this case they said it's about CPU and memory. I'm wondering if there's anything else because control groups are not just about CPU and memory, it's also about storage and whatnot. So there's also a network. So I'm just trying to understand, is there any need over there? If it's just about CPU and memory, can you just set the CPU and memory limits and is that fine? Even with control group v2, even if there's no support, will the language runtime that supports control group v1 still run without any issues if you just set the CPU and memory limits? So basically in Golang they say, I need to check the source of this information. There's nowhere it says this is the source. Interesting. Okay, here it says this is the source. So this Medium article goes runtime awareness deep dive into how it works. So Go runtimes container awareness, right? So someone has written this very recently. So the Golang, the latest version I think is 1.25, yes, 1.25.3. Cool. So Go's container awareness refers to the runtime's ability. So this runtime, there's no, it's not a what do you say, interpreted thing. So Java is both compiled and interpreted. So you compile the Java code into a bytecode or any JVM language, say Clojure or whatever, to bytecode, and then it runs on JVM, which is, so you have Java compiler that converts it into bytecode, and then bytecode runs on JVM, which is a virtual machine. And there are so many kinds of Java virtual machines. Basically, a lot of distributions out there. For example, there's something called Graal VM, right? So much more out there. So yeah, I mean, we need to understand this. We need to understand basically more about Java virtual machines. There are also other languages that have something similar. Oh, looks like it's by Oracle. Interesting. Oh yeah, Oracle Java. Okay. Java. Anyways, wonder if it's paid. Cost. Is there a free? No. Nowhere it says. Anyways, the support. Anyways, this is all written in Java and it's by Oracle, of course. Do they have anything that says openjdk.org? is a pure purveyor of the industry's most widely surveillance scale. Linux Foundation, Eclipse Foundation, Java community process. Anyways, so that is OpenJDK. Can you find downloads? For some reason they're not maintaining the Docker images. I don't know why that is the case. Dockerhub.com OpenJDK. I wonder why that is the case. Who was maintaining it and what happened? So see this for more information. Okay. The heads up that we're going to retire OpenJDK project builds for OpenJDK 11 update and OpenJDK. We plan to stop producing builds after the July 2022 CP update. Maybe the last build, since we know that Docker library is using those for the Docker upstream. Okay. So wanted to give a heads up that this is going to happen. Perhaps it would be best to remove the learn and eat tags, as at that point these images will be out of date without recent security. I see that tag points already to an outdated build. Sandin.auto over later produce this build as a service to community for Linux. Now that with projects like Eclipse Adoptium, which produce Eclipse terminal builds in a wide variety of platforms such as JCK tested. There's an actual replacement for a vendor neutral OpenJDK build for streams for the community use for the 17. Some people I think were sad. Okay. I don't think you can even react on this. It's closed for now, I think. Has been logged and limited to collaborators. Okay. So produce as a service to the community. Looks like they were trying to provide some free service or do some service to the community. So that's why Linux 64-bit and that too AMD 64-bit and then ARM architecture 64-bit and Windows 64-bit. They're building that, but looks like Adoptium is there, and then Eclipse Temurin, JCK tested. I don't know what is JCK. Probably Java compatibility something. Gotta check. Natural replacement for a vendor neutral OpenJDK. Okay, so for the build for the JDK for the community to use. Stream of the updates project. The builds linked to OpenJDK are already Eclipse dependent bindings, and we would like to make the consistent from October 2022. But not totally unexpected. The response has been understandably pretty mixed, so I'm sure this is going to go similarly well among our users. You should seriously consider deprecating the image altogether, since I'm not convinced there is a lot of value in only providing the extremely time limited builds Oracle provides. And that wait, it had got to the point where these builds weren't adding any value. Just spoken, an independent survey of the popularity of OpenJDK builds showed that there were a few clear leaders. I've been told that they're fully TCK'd, so Java compatible. As far as I'm aware, these builds are clean or at least minimally patched OpenJDK builds, so the OpenJDK project builds are adding to the confusion. Okay, I'm not sure. I need to understand this part, but tricky stuff. So a lot of people have referred to this and referenced this whole thing, this issue. So Eclipse has this project called Adoptium. What other projects do they have? Practice, where we build data spaces. I think they have a lot of them. One of them is Adoptium. Development environments are used included in clusters. Interesting. Yeah, Jakarta, this is enterprise stuff, I think. And then we have Adoptium here. And looks like they have a lot of projects, yes. I'm not sure how many projects they have, but it looks like they do have a lot. They have about 23 pages of different projects anyways. Cool, so I'm just gonna close these up for now, and so you can choose a version and then package type. So version, package type is it macOS or Windows or even Linux, and then you just download it, I guess. This is for LTS and all that. This macOS again over here. This one says it's a package, okay. This is Microsoft installer, Amazon installer, 64-bit. So if you look at this, is 64-bit. Yeah. Accordingly it changes. Alpine Linux and then AIX. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, this is a different CPU architecture. So, and we have Linux over here apart from Alpine Linux. Interesting. These are pretty new though, by the way. All in October. So the source code can be found here. Cool. So I think we can use one of these, or we can just use Amazon, because this one we have to understand pre-release or non-production builds of OpenJDK. I think it's not used anymore, at least that's what they say here. We need to understand more. What I want to understand over here is, okay, let's get rid of this. State address, there's I think this is the new website for the open source stuff. So GraalVM, OpenJDK, MySQL, a lot of stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and just read through this to understand what about Golang, and then we'll come back to Java and the others, Node.js and all. So in Python, looks like there's no problem, but I just want to read through before ensuring that we don't have any problems. So Go's container awareness refers to the runtime's ability. So here, of course, this is what I was talking about. In Java, it's compiled and then interpreted. So you are talking about, I think, two levels. One is the compiler, which has standard library code, and does it have any code that has to be container aware. And then next is the JRE, the Java runtime environment, which is the interpreter, which is going to interpret the bytecode, and I think that is the runtime clearly, which is separately running and outside the software that you create. And I think it has to be container aware. In the case of Golang, it's a statically compiled, generally statically compiled binary, statically linked binary. Basically, there's no dynamically linked libraries and all. So statically linked single binary, which does not have any other dependencies, runtime dependencies. So it will have the runtime which Go provides as part of its standard library. So I think basically you need to use a newer version of your Golang compiler to compile your code so that the runtime has awareness of the container environment, container awareness. So why for CPN memory alone? I think so. So refers to the runtime's ability. So runtime here is the runtime that comes with the latest compiler, which compiles your code along with the latest runtime. So runtime's ability to automatically detect and respect resource limits imposed by containerization technologies like Docker or Podman or things, containerd and all that. And then of course Kubernetes, which runs on top of container runtimes, particularly concerning CPN memory. This is a significant evolution for Go applications deployed in cloud native environments. Automatic Go max proc and adjustments. So as of Go 1.25, the runtime on Linux automatically detects and respects cgroup CPU elements. Okay. What Golang versions do we have? So we have 1.18. They say anything above 122 is supported. But here I see only from 1.25. Maybe I should look at other versions also. Detects CPU, control group CPU limits. It reads CPU quota and period values from cgroup V1 or V2 and adjusts Go max procs accordingly. This ensures the Go scheduler aligns the number of active Go routines. So I have Golang in my local machine. So I have a Go version manager also. I think it's called GVM. Yeah, so I have 125.2. Actually 125.3 is latest, I think. So let me just get that. List all. Download, install latest, or just install, should install the latest, I think. So this should install the latest, and let's see how that goes. So GVM, I choose 1.25.2 or 1.25.3. It should accordingly do so. So Go version should give me this. And GVM, I will just remove or uninstall some stuff. Self upgrade, okay. Cool. So here I want to remove all versions except the current version. Okay. Remove 1.25.2. Okay. So we have only one version. We can prone, but no point in proning this. There's nothing to prone really. List, it has this. Go version. If I say Go env, it will tell the different environment variables, especially the Golang environment variables. So is cgo enabled? Yes. Okay. And if you look at procs, looks like I'm not able to see it. Okay, so let me just try to get this thing. Go max proc. It's empty. Okay. So this ensures the Go scheduler aligns the number of. Okay, so this I want to understand. Is this the Golang related thing or just a thing? Yeah, this is a course. Yeah, no, I don't want this. So runtime package, auto max. Looks like there is a thing to also automatically set Go max procs. So automatically set to match Linux container CPU quota. Application logic here. Data measured from Uber's internal load balancer. We run the load balancer with CPU quota, that is 2 cores. Is 1. And I think this is requests per second. And is increase above the CPU quota. We see 50 decrease slightly. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So basically, you should not put the wrong value of go max procs, or else things go wrong, I guess. And we also saw significant throttling. So CPU.stat. Okay, so this is basically the control group thing. So yeah, throttling of what though? CPU. Okay, CPU.stat. Once it was ready to match this, we saw no CPU throttling. Development status TRL. Okay. So all APIs are finalized and no breaking changes made in the 1.0. Whenever user somewhere dependency should dip into this. Okay. I think you just have to import it and put the code, and it will automatically set up. Automatically adjust go max procs. To render a whole file example, we need a package level declaration. Okay. Max procs. Okay, so we have go run. No go file system. So go ahead. Can I just provide? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is let me write down a small program here. Just call it cpu.go package main import runtime and found main and say fmt.println. I think we'll need this has to be in string fmt, and then runtime dot go max procs, right? Go run. I just need to understand how many it shows for me. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Interesting. Does this have so let's read about the runtime package. Go max procs. So this package function queries and changes the limit. Okay. Oh, it's a function. That's why you can't just. Okay. Maximum number of CPUs that can be executing simultaneously and returns the previous setting. If n is less than 1, it does not default. If n is set to a positive whole number, defaults to that value. Okay. Otherwise, this go runtime selects an appropriate default value from a combination of the number of logical CPUs on the machine, the processor. Okay. Updates, implementation details. How do you get the value of go max procs though? Control groups, the goal and this average CPU throughput is a control group CPU quota period. These values come from the CPU.max file and CPU CPU.cfs underscore quota underscore US and here and Okay. CPU limit, not the CPU request. Is it minimum of the logical CPU count, the CPU affinity mask count, or the C group CPU throughput limit? Interesting. So I want to understand how do you get value. So runtime, get the current. Oh, you just say -1. Let's get the number of logical CPUs available. Runtime.num CPU. Okay, cool. So maybe I'll just do something like maybe I'll just enable Golang over here. Is it a good idea? Okay. Go enable in this workspace. So this is actually a function. Let me just say -1, and I'll also say something like CPU profile, number of CPUs. Okay, cool. So let me run this now. So it says 10, so we have 10 CPUs. LS CPU, do I have it? No, I don't have LS CPU, so can't get CPU details just like that. Get macOS CPU info. So we can only do about this Mac. Your terminal, model name and speed. Okay, this should be the M4 thing. Apple M4. Okay. CPU is that? Okay. And to get comprehensive hardware information. So CPU, processor, anything? No. Model name MacBook Pro and all that. M4 chip. Number of cores is 10. So 4 performance and 6 efficiency. Cool. So that is the CPU. And you can also see it like this. But if I use some container runtime, it should give lesser value if I set the CPU max. Right, so let's see. So this ensures the Go scheduler aligns the number of active Go routines. Basically, Go routines is like a lightweight thread. So Go routines is the actual CPU resources. Okay. Active with actual CPU resources available to the container. Only one CPU core, and accordingly that much Go routines. So preventing overscheduling and potential performance issues like CPU throttling. So periodic rechecking of limits. The Go runtime periodically rechecks these control group values to stay in sync with any changes to the container limits, unless manually overridden or disabled via Go debug flags. So addressing historical issues. Previously, Go applications in containers might have experienced issues if Go max flags was not manually set to match the container's CPU limits. Okay. This could lead to the Go runtime attempting to utilize more CPU cores than allocated, resulting in inefficient resource usage and potential performance degradation. Okay. I guess more cores would mean you will have noisy neighbor problem. I guess that's what they meant by performance degradation. Improved resource management. This automatic awareness helps Go applications run more efficiently and predictably within containerized environments, and aligning the runtime's behavior with the resource constraints of modern cloud infrastructure. No longer assumes it has access to all host resources. It intelligently adapts to the specific resource limits defined for its container. This leads to better performance, reduced resource contention, and a more robust experience for Go applications and containers. Um, okay, so I thought your applications need not be operating system aware, or in this case, like Linux aware, control group aware. Like it just can't access more resources is what I thought when you have a control group. Weird that it can access more resources. That is interesting. So I have Polyma here. Let me try to run this. This has 2 CPUs. And it has Docker runtime. So let me just go ahead and run a Golang container and try to see if I can actually run a program in it. Polyma SSH after PS images Docker run rm Golang. Yeah, I'll just take bash. I'm taking the Golang latest version, so it's gonna pull it up. I did pull it up, and in the meanwhile I'm going to read some things about it over here also, for Go at least. Next I'll learn for like Java also. This is a free article, okay. Okay, so we'll extract this and next extract. Okay, so you have Go version, so you have 125.3, right? So do you have Vim? No. Do you have Nano? No. Apt? Yes. Apt update. Apt install. Yes. Vim. Okay, so now I'll just run this program over here. Maybe I'll just come out. Okay, this is the root, and we have this. I'll just quickly just check this alone. Does it have the C group? Interesting. This also has the C group. I wonder if it's V1. It must be V2. Let's see. C group dot controllers. CPU set, CPU, input output memory, huge TLB, PIDs, miscellaneous RDMA. I don't know what's RDMA. RDMA control group, controller, remote directory memory access. Okay. What is this? Huge TLB. Huge TLB controller. Huge TLB controller. Page fault. TLB. So it's huge page size, but what is TLB? I have no idea. What is huge TLB controller? Huge transparent huge page. Okay. But LB, what is LB? Anyways, so here's the processors control group can use. Okay. So let's try to run this program. Main.go. Okay. Go run main.go. It should say 2. Okay. Now if I actually docker run, if I say that the maximum CPU is 1, does it say 1? Memory, CPU shares, number of CPUs. Just say -CPUs and say 1, right? No, I don't even need this. I just say cat main dot go to this. Just say cat what happened. Just a minute. So cat main dot go to this ls. Okay. Move main dot go to this. So okay, go run main dot go. It should have only one CPU access now. It takes a lot of time to run. It still says 2. Interesting. Though I said CPUs is 1. How does that work? Limit CPU completely fairly scheduler CPU quota. Real time period, real time runtime, CPU shares, CPUs and all CPUs invest to allow execution. Interesting. That's interesting. CPU shares. Result order. Things are more okay. You can say CPU is 1. So it says 2 only. Anyways, I guess we have to put a module on that. Say go.mod and say this is the module. Anyways, I was wondering how this works. Anyways, so with this container aware, reduces the change in behavior of our GoMax procs, making it container aware by default. C container aware GoMax procs runtime. Previously, users often needed to manually set GoMax procs to match container CPU limits. Yes. Okay, previously you would have seen recommendations like, so you provide the CPU limit and set GoMax procs to container name resource limits.cpu. Okay, resource field resource limits.cpu. Okay, but is generally not needed for due to automatic detection. Okay. looks like people have been talking about how you can mention about the Gomax was container aware behavior. Anyways, so has changed in prior versions of Go. Defaults to the number of logical CPUs available at startup. On Linux, the runtime considers the CPU bandwidth limit of the control group containing the process, if any. Lower than the number of logical CPUs available, OS will set to the lower limit. Both of these behaviors are automatically disabled if OS set manually. I wonder what version of control group I'm using and how things are working out here. Let me just do colima ssh here. Let me just say docker run this and this and this and just say this. While I do that, I want to actually see docker ps happening. This is running. This still says 2. I wonder where. So sysfs cgroup. Is there anything for Docker? Yeah, there is one for Docker. Okay, so Docker. And there is one mentioned for this. I think this is the container ID. Right? So CF. Right? So here I want to understand what is the CPU stat and stat.local. Cat throttle this is this. Okay. What else can I see in CPU? CPU dot max. CPU set dot CPUs effective 0 to 1. Okay. CPU dot wait dot nice. CPU max worst. Interesting. Main CFS aware. What is CFS aware? Wait a minute. Can you actually say this? Will it work? No, this is wrong. Not enough arguments, yeah. So, default setting of the number of OS apparent processes can be greatly misaligned in the container CPU quota. So there is a quota period, say 100 million. Max of 1, floor of CPU quota. Okay. Is there a CPU quota here? So let me look at this. Quota? Nope, I can't find any quota. There's no min also. There's just controllers and that's it. C group controllers. All of these controllers are there, okay. And in CPU you have idle, max burst and all that. Wait, nice, okay. Max, burst, wait, nice, okay. CPUs is what I'm not getting much. Exclusive, effective. This is something below will not work. No such file directly, of course. Partition, member. RDMA, some memory access. RDMA Linux, some remote direct memory access. Anyways. So using this as a default for GoMax makes the word safe again. This is why we use Go in all of our Go microservices. Avoiding use of the word core, matter of hyperthreading, virtual real physical order is another topic. Can't not mention. User space to pressure induced by background GC. Where are we at? Is Go routine preemption again? Okay. Looks like this is about Java virtual machines. So pauses when running JVM inside Linux control groups. Completely fair scheduler. Increase the number of voice of parent browsers can be greatly misaligned with the container CPU quota. Large latency artifacts in programs, especially under peak load or when saturating all processors during background GC phases. Garbage collection stuff can you read. The smaller the container or larger the machine, the worse the effect becomes. Let's say you deploy a fleet of microservice workers, each container having a CPU quota of 4 on a fleet of 32 processors. Machine to understand further explores the topic, especially as it relates to a recently resolved certain CPU accounting bug. There is a quota period, and then there is then a quota to affect a 4 processor quota. Within any period, once the process group exceeds the quota, it is throttled. Makes it quite likely that you will be spiking up to your full quota and getting throttled. A cloud like concurrent GC is especially likely to cause exhaustion. A tail latency problem. Artifacts are visible in the main body and can shift the entire latency distribution. So this is someone from Uber, I guess. Linux programmer. Liminal programmer, sorry, not Linux. Hachidom sounds like a Twitter or something. Is this a Mastodon? Okay. So if you look at the code for this main.go example test automax tools max prox internal build Go platform Uber interesting. He works at Uber. So check license cgroups runtime again. This is the tools thing and this is for GoMax prox. That's it. So it says max procs. It uses this package dot set max procs dot logger and then log dot printf. Okay. Init. Okay, set my logger. Okay. And max procs is basically this. I mean the version here. Okay, example test one. So max procs don't go. So you just call the set, right? Logger min. Okay, so you say set minimize the Linux container CPU quota if any, returning any error encountered in an undo function. Set is a no op on non-Linux systems, okay? And in Linux environments without a configured CPU quota. So I runtime, what is I runtime? Okay, so internal runtime, okay. And then CPU quota to go max procs, default round function. Then go max procs 1. Any options, and then undo no go as a change to reset. Okay, so look up if there is a key honoring go max procs is equal to as set an environment. So leave it, and round quota function, CPU quota undefined. I need to look at this. I think this is version, that's fine. Look at the amount of the things that I put here. MIT license, I guess. I don't know. So we have tools here. Goal and static check, okay. Honef dot co, interesting. What is that? Not this. I wanted to capture this. Honef dot co. Dominic Honef / go. Interesting. Tools, command, static check. Interesting. Cool. So his GitHub is this one. He created static check. Interesting. So Docker runs CPUs 4.0 memory. For example, if you run your application as follows is equal to 4. So here you say 4.0. Okay. Inform. Go run now of these nodes using the basically when you say container aware, it's mainly only for CPU and memory is what I'm seeing. So they do not account for memory and CPU limits. So you have to put this is what they're saying. Why 1800 though? Use cgroups to enforce memory limits. Okay. Which means that if a processor requires more memory from the OS than its assigned limit, it will be terminated by the OM which is the out of memory system. Collects objects on the heap until the heap runs out of memory. At this point, it asks the OS for twice the size of memory. Current heap is 100 M. An application fills it up, the core runtime and resets it to 200 M. Then This one go also triggers the garbage collection, but the extra heap is already requested from the OS, which may trigger the no-one killer. Basically, they're saying if it is not container aware, it will think that it can get more resources, and when it requests for more resources, it will get killed because out of memory kill. This may happen even if the live heap stays below the cgroups memory limit. Go mem limit gives the go runtime a target to hit. The new heap won't exceed go as long as the live heap fits in. Of course, it's not a miracle. If there's only a little room left above the live heap, you'll need to run more often. So potentially introducing a lot of latency. It's also a soft target. If the live heap needs more memory, then it will ask us for it. Interesting. So I need to understand what this live heap is. But 1 minute. So as long as the live heap fits in, so of course, so above the live heap, the garbage, okay. It's a soft target, so that if the live heap needs more memory, then it will ask the OS for it, which will trigger the one killer. So killer without goal limit, go mem limit, memory usage, live heap is this much, memory limit, memory heap, okay, memory limit, go mem limit, you keep it below that. That's why they're saying actually 1800, I guess, because mem heap, oh sorry, not mem, new heap, I guess, new heap and live heap, new heap, mem limit. tip.golang.org. Interesting, I didn't know that there are these things called tip.golang.org. Okay, it's the same thing, huh? I wonder why they call it tip. Even with just golang.org, it goes out. Yeah, why was it called tip dot? Something.golang.org. Wow, it still goes out. Nice. So, drainage of the memory limit and the execution environment of your program is entirely within your control. Program is the only program with access to some set of resources, some kind of memory reservation like container memory. A good example is the deployment of a web service into containers with a fixed amount of available memory. A good rule of thumb is to leave an additional 5 to 10% of headroom to account for memory sources the go runtime is unaware of. As an alternative, you can configure the memory target within the code at runtime and automatically tie the memory target to the cgroups limit. Looks like someone has written this. Kim Machine Gun. I think it's the guy who wrote this. No, or someone else. I don't know. Yeah, this is someone else. Elasticsearch. Interest distributed systems and networking versions like read, run, and spend time on this. Okay. So I'm gonna have an idea. So basically it says this, and then request and limits and Kubernetes different terminology is fascinating. I recommend the following articles on the subject: the container throttling problem, and by Daniel discusses the impact of CPU limits on tail latency of servers within Twitter. I need to understand about tail latency. Anyway, so For the love of God, stop using CPU limits on Kubernetes where August says that it may be better to set only the requests but not limits, specifically for Go. Check Go containers and the Linux whenever the files. Thread for each CPU core your machine has. It won't scale it down to your CPU requests or limits. So these threads run garbage collection and execute Go routines. Okay. Periods typically 100 milliseconds. I need to understand that. I didn't get that properly. Not a problem when you have batch runs. Set it to no more than the quota. Alternatively, use Uber Go container CPU quota and Go and harder than for Go limit. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Anyways, so okay, that is interesting. I think I need to check this out too about the memory limit and Go garbage compiler, Go GC. I will check that out in another video. From now I'm just gonna stop. That's the next one. Bye bye.